Good evening and welcome to Central News. A little girl who would have died without a bone marrow transplant went to play school for the first time today. Beth Heaton walked into the playground holding the hand of the man who saved her life.
First day of play school for 2.5-year-old Beth Heaton. It was a day her family feared they'd never see. By her side, Mark Bewick from Peterborough, the man who saved her life. Soon after she was born in May 1999, doctors discovered Beth had no bone marrow. Without a transplant, she'd die. The Heatons had already lost their second daughter, Katie, from a bowel disorder. Their other daughter, Emma, wrote a letter which sparked one of the biggest bone marrow responses in history.
Please can I keep my sister because I love her very much. You have Katie in heaven, and if you take Beth, I'll have no sisters left. Tell Katie I love her. I say my prayers every night. Love from Emma.
23-year-old Mark Bewick proved the perfect match. Almost immediately following the transplant in December 1999, Beth's health improved.
Very, very special. Very precious. He's given our family a chance to be normal and happy.
Today, fulfilling a long-standing promise, Mark was by Beth's side as she went to play school for the first time.
It's the best thing ever. At this moment in my life, it's the best thing I've ever done.
Mike Dolan for Central News.
A pensioner says his life has been ruined by a knifeman who forced his way into his home and took his savings. Ray Stockdale fought for his country in the Royal Navy. Now he says he's living in fear.
Now 76, Ray Stockdale has lived in the same house in the Lenton area of Nottingham since he was a boy. The former Royal Navy sailor is well known, but until today has led an independent life, a life that's been left in turmoil. Answering a knock at the back door, he was confronted by a man wielding a knife. He pushed the pensioner inside and told him he wanted cash.
Once he got that in his hand, I didn't know what to do, because, he was that type, not really rough and ready, but near enough that way. I couldn't do a thing. It just stunned. You made me let me cry.
The man with the knife is described as white and between 25 and 30 years old. He was around 5 feet 10 inches tall, slim with collar-length dark hair. Police believe he may have used a young accomplice as a lookout. Pat West for Central News.
A court's heard how a bus driver kidnapped a workmate who he suspected of having an affair with his wife. His victim was subjected to a terrifying ordeal as he was bound and gagged and forced into an underground bunker.
The kidnap ordeal began in Beeston near Nottingham at the end of bus driver Sean Stonehouse's shift when he was pounced upon by a man accompanied by a youth. That man was Kevin Garfoot, who he'd worked with on the buses. He suspected Mr. Stonehouse of having an affair with his estranged wife. Nottingham Crown Court heard how he was then ordered to drive on to Ruddington, where he was forced to write letters, and then on to the Queen's Medical Centre, where the third offender, Andrew Coulson, was waiting with a car. Then, bound and gagged, Mr. Stonehouse was taken to railway sidings near Towton and forced on a terrifying march through woodland, across fields and bridges. He was finally left in a disused air raid shelter before freeing himself and contacting police.
The extent that they've gone to, the fact they didn't even conceal their identity, I think they probably thought that he would never make a complaint. What the ultimate motive would have been, we'll never know.
Garfoot, Coulson and the youth, who can't be identified for legal reasons, all admitted kidnap at Nottingham Crown Court. They'll be sentenced next month.
An investigation is underway after a man's body was discovered following a fire. Police and fire crews were called early this morning to a house on Upperdale Road in Derby. After the fire was put out, the body of a man who's believed to be in his 40s was found inside. Another man was taken to hospital suffering from burns. Detectives are examining the death of a 12-year-old baby boy who died after being treated by a consultant who's now been suspended from the medical register. Connor Inkle from Lincoln died 4 years ago after the consultant failed to offer him surgery that could have saved his life. Earlier this year, the General Medical Council found Dr. Ranjit Leniger guilty of serious professional misconduct. Now Lincolnshire Police have been asked by the Coroner's Office to decide if Connor's death should have been investigated. Children have been getting expert advice on how to help people who get injured and reduce the risk of getting hurt themselves. It was all part of a visit to a hospital in the East Midlands.
A group of youngsters are given a lesson in life-saving skills by staff from the Accident and Emergency Department at the Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham. The children from Brooksbury Primary School at Clifton are learning about first aid and accident prevention. It's part of a project organised by the city and county councils.
They'll learn how to keep themselves safe, they'll learn how to see if anybody needs help and what to actually do with them if they feel that somebody does need help, and if they come across somebody who appears to have had an accident.
I didn't know anything about first aid, and I've learnt it now. So on an adult I know how to do it when they're choking. I've learnt that when you do mouth to mouth that you have to put the head back and the chin up, and you have to look for danger all around. If there's danger you just have to go and ring up the ambulance.
Nottingham is one of 9 centres across the country which are piloting the scheme. Nick Kehoe, Central News.
Finally, more people are turning to the idea of natural burials, but with no headstone, finding the final resting place of a loved one could get confusing, but not with the appliance of science. Here's Chris Hesketh.
Let's face it, we're all going to have to go sometime. How we mark our place of rest is a matter of choice. Something very lavish, a little more modest, or thanks to the latest technology, something as tiny as this. Britain's first microchip graveyard is here. At Rothwell in Northamptonshire, the bereaved are being offered high-tech interment for their dearly departed.
The microchip is inserted into the cap. This is then placed into the ground following the interment, and the ground is covered over. Once the microchip's actually been interred in the ground, we can then scan the area just to make sure we're actually getting a reading from the microchip.
There's enough space in this green burial site to last the next 100 years. Whether the idea ever takes off remains to be seen. If not, it will probably just be laid to rest in peace. Chris Hesketh for Central News.
That's it for now. We're back with bulletins from 6:35 tomorrow morning. But until then, good night.
The trees are wearing their autumnal colours, but the feel is going very summery tomorrow. From the cool greens of yesterday's average temperatures here, warmer air coming up from France tomorrow is going to turn us a rosy glow on the colour chart through into Saturday. And with that French heat goes dry sunny spell. So tomorrow is going to be a perler. Temperatures here about 5 degrees above average, a really lovely day. But whilst we're enjoying those sunny skies, northern Britain sees these systems, and guess where those systems are going to be on Saturday. So tomorrow's warmth comes with sunshine, Saturday's doesn't, although it will stay mild for the weekend. There's going to be rain on Saturday and rain on Sunday. So tomorrow, dry, sunny spells, warm ones. You enjoy while you can. Bye-bye.
The Central 10-day weather line 09063 66 60 66.